also had kind of pulled down the PDF of the WeWork earnings call that they made. So this is SoftBank, and maybe we'll go over the backstory of this really quick for any listeners that aren't aware of the situation. So WeWork is a kind of a co-working, open office kind of concept where if you are a virtual business and you need meeting spaces, or if you need a desk or an actual physical office address, you can basically rent an office or rent a meeting space and bring in clients or run your business out of that, and they kind of provide the essential administrative function and the place to do your business. Now, they've been in the news recently because they were set to go in an initial public offering, an IPO, and they were backed and juiced up with cash influx from SoftBank, which is an international investment group that invests in startups. And they had a very eccentric CEO who thought that this WeWork public sharing of office space was somehow going to change the world, or make world peace or something through shared office space. But that's besides the point. He made off with a golden parachute. He went and got fired from the company and was able to take some money from him. And the reason being is the financials and valuations that they were toting out during the IPO beforehand to private investors didn't match up with basically what the SEC had them file for their pre-IPO filing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and they weren't soliciting, the IPO, so I don't think they ran afoul of the SEC stuff. But what they were doing were they were using different metrics than just financial AR, credits, debits, all that good stuff, balance sheets. They were using, worker productivity or happiness among them, or, what percentage, were people happy to work at WeWork increasing from last month?
It's up 40%.
Yeah, we're kind of... So anyway, he gets ousted, and it comes out that this place is just bleeding money, burning through it so fast. I think they lost I forget what the number was, but they lost hundreds of millions of dollars in, just because their expenses that far outweigh their revenues, plain and simple. So what SoftBank did was they ousted that CEO, Adam, and I can't remember his last name, and he made off. And SoftBank decided they're in it for the long haul. They've invested too much money in this company, so they're going to see it through. And they were taking over to tighten down the reins and kind of rein in the spending and turn this thing around, because they believed that there was value there that they could then offer in an initial public offering and make their money back for their investors and themselves. So they had an earnings call earlier this week, and they distributed the material that was used in that earnings call, and it's, for lack of a better word, it's hilarious.
It is.
It looks like it's made by a first-year business student that's presenting their business plan for the first time, where sales will grow by 100% each year. And so we can probably cut to a picture of the slide that I picked out, but it basically shows EBITDA, which, if you don't know what EBITDA is, it's earning before income taxes and depreciation.
Right.
And so it's showing, and basically the reason EBITDA is used is because the taxes and depreciation aren't considered operating expenses. So it's trying to show a measure of operating income after all the admin stuff has been, shaved off. Depreciation isn't a real expense because you bought this stuff a long time ago, and taxes are to what taxes are. So this EBITDA line basically shows it going complete crashing. And then after SoftBank steps in, and it's magically going to turn around due to cost cutting, and it's going to soar. And there's still value there, and there's still the investors are led to believe, that you can tell the reason why the presentation is on is so that investors don't start pulling or requesting that SoftBank sell this thing or just, burn it. So I wanted to get your guys' kind of impression on. And I think this is a trend where people are using different metrics to report how a business is doing, besides like a bottom line or some kind of projection on how it's a realistic projection of how it's going to turn around. And I'm just wondering how maybe you guys feel about that, or anything else that you saw from that set of present, if anybody's had a chance to see it, or from the slide decks, because it really was no pertinent information in there from a true accounting sense, or from a true. They're throwing around accounting words.
Yeah.
But where their numbers are coming from, it's not like they offer a balance sheet or show or go through, how they're going to do this. It's all bar graphs and charts and colors and
the bar graphs, I got a kick out of it because they had qualifiers all over it. It
Yes.
was like, these are projected, this one's a maybe, this
Hypothetical.
one's a hypothetical. Yeah, a bunch of just good,
nonsense.
good stuff.
Nonsense is what it was.
Well, I mean, some of what you say, which is, which intrigues me and worries me a little bit, just because we use WeWork, and it's actually a cool service, a cool business from a customer perspective, to be able to go in and use conference rooms or get a desk for the day, and they do provide clean, nice, hip spaces that are. They've got some different amenities. And so, if the business plan from here going forward is cut costs to increase EBITDA, I'm kind of like, ooh, what cost are they going to cut my beer? Is that what they're doing? Because, if they cut the costs, I think there's probably some part of the customer base who probably might quit using the service.
Well, and that was one thing they talked about in that kind of slide thing. When they were talking about cutting costs, they were talking about not putting so much money into the aesthetic look of a place, and then not offering so many amenities to basically be what every other building renter is, but just by a per day, per week, per month kind of thing.
Yeah, because just for those who don't know, that one thing that's unique about WeWork is that when you go there, you can just drink beer as part of what you're being there to do. You can get free coffee, free beer as much as you want if you're working there, is the idea. And I think that's maybe a glaring hole in their business plan that they didn't maybe consider fully.
Yeah, probably.
Don't ruin the gravy train now. Wait until it just totally burns down. But,
Yeah, I think, and I guess I think one thing they have done is revitalize or re-inspire, I should say. Maybe not revitalize, because it won't be revitalized if none of these businesses are working, but they definitely re-inspired the shared workspace, temporary office business model, because the temporary office business model, there's been companies that have been doing that for a long time. There's nothing particularly new about that. It was the presentation of how they did it that was relatively new. And I know in the Portland metro area, I've seen 2 or 3 other companies that are basically look like they're kind of like WeWork knockoffs. They're kind of doing the same kind of thing. So I think they have re-inspired a kind of new, or re-inspired that industry a bit to make it hip and cool for people to have offices and share offices and use those kind of temporary workspaces.
yeah, like one of the knockoffs was We Work Together.
Oh, really? I didn't know. Oh, you got me on that one. I thought that was real.
It would be a good business name, though, right?
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
Same font and everything. We work and they just slap it together on the afterwards,
We work together. Yes.